That's when we had a chance to ride the horse.
You don't get your money back.
You
don't get your money back.
They're aware that.
Don't tell me what they're aware
warranty.
of. You can't testify what's in somebody else's mind.
There was a warranty.
So picture this. You buy a horse, you're excited, but then you find out it's lame. That's frustrating, right? But what if your big idea to solve the problem was to sneak back onto the seller's property and just leave it there? Yeah, this story isn't just about a bad deal. It's about a choice that turns a simple refund request into a total courtroom mess. And it all boils down to one single crucial mistake.
And right out of the gate, that's Judge Judy cutting straight to the heart of it. On one side, you've got a buyer who feels like she's been totally ripped off. On the other side, you have the sellers who are about to show everyone that this case is, well, it's a whole lot more complicated than it looks.
Okay, so let's start with the plaintiff. Her story seems simple enough. Hey, I bought a horse, the horse is lame, I want my money back. You know, it sounds like a classic case of getting a faulty product and just wanting a refund. But believe me, the simplicity ends right there.
See, this case really isn't about the money at all. It's a perfect example of how your actions after a problem pops up can be way more important than the problem itself. Honestly, it's like a masterclass in what not to do when you have a complaint.
And here it is, the big twist that just changes everything. The plaintiff didn't just pick up the phone. Oh no, she took matters into her own hands and she made a decision that completely flips this case on its head and suddenly puts her on the defensive.
So this is where the whole thing just transforms. We go from a simple argument over a sale to a serious counterclaim of trespassing. What did she do? She secretly drove the horse back to the defendant's property and left it there without their permission. So for the sellers, this wasn't a return, this was an illegal act.
And get this, they're not just defending themselves anymore, they're going on the attack. They're demanding payment. All of a sudden, they're the ones who are the victims here. They're arguing she broke the law. She dumped an animal on their land, and now she owes them money for its care. The entire power dynamic in the room has just done a complete 180.
Now you know Judge Judy. She can tell there's more to this story, so she starts digging. She turns her attention right to the sellers because she needs to know why this horse was even sold in the first place. Were they trying to hide something?
And this is just a brilliant question. See, the defendants own other horses, and most of them are rescues. So why sell this one? This question cuts right to their motives. Was this just a business deal, or were they knowingly offloading a problem onto someone else? The sellers insist it was all about the money. They start listing off all these expenses: rodeo training, vet bills, feed costs, basically saying they just needed the cash. And you know, it sounds like a plausible enough reason, but in Judge Judy's courtroom, every single detail is going to get a closer look. Okay, now the spotlight swings back around. Judge Judy turns to the plaintiff, and this is where the entire case is going to turn on one single critical piece of the timeline. This is the moment right here where everything is either won or lost. And there it is, the one question that cuts through all the drama and all the excuses. The plaintiff had been saying she told them about the problem right away, but Judge Judy doesn't want vague claims. She wants a date, a specific, undeniable fact. And wow, this timeline is just devastating for the plaintiff's case. She didn't call the next day. She didn't even call the next week. She waited a full 21 days, 3 weeks, before ever mentioning the problem. I mean, in the world of consumer complaints, that is an absolute eternity. 3 weeks. That's the number that sinks her entire case. 3 weeks of total silence. In that amount of time, who knows what could have happened to that horse under her care? By waiting that long, she completely destroyed her own credibility. How can you prove the horse was lame when you bought it if you wait 3 weeks to say something? That delay, that was her fatal mistake. So once that single fact, the 3-week delay, is on the table, the case is pretty much over. All the other dramatic details, like the secret return or the seller's motives, they just kind of fade into the background. The judgment is now crystal clear.
Boom. Just like that. The verdict is a direct consequence of that 3-week silence. The plaintiff's failure to act responsibly and communicate promptly completely torpedoed her own claim. She gets nothing.
You know, at one point, the plaintiff tries to argue that the sellers must have known the horse was lame, and Judge Judy just shuts it down with this incredible piece of wisdom. You can't argue what you think someone else was thinking. It's worthless in court. You can only argue the facts you can actually prove.
So, what's the big lesson here for all of us?
It's really a powerful lesson in personal responsibility. When you buy something and there's an issue, a clock starts ticking immediately. The burden is on you, the buyer, to report it right away. If you wait, if you stay silent like this plaintiff did, you risk losing any right you have to a refund or a solution. And that really leaves us with a final question to think about. Whether it's a broken product, a problem with a coworker, or a disagreement with a friend, this case teaches us a universal truth. Waiting has a cost. Procrastination has a price. In that courtroom, the cost of waiting was literally everything. So the question for you is, in your own life, what might it be?